Hello, this is Mesh from Downtime Distractions, doing a review of Legends of Callasia. Before we get started, I'll put the button, bottom left hand corner. Please subscribe, it really helps us out. So this title is developed and published by Boom Zap Entertainment. It was released on the 11th of Feb, and it was greenlit, and I had to go at the demo before it was greenlit. So with that out of the way, let us jump in and look at some gameplay. Okay, so here's the main screen you probably generally start with. This is skirmish, and probably you start with this for a multiplayer as well. So you choose your heroes to start with. So these are the ones I chose. So who should we start with? We'll start with a rogue and give us some troops. So this is my main castle. So this is where you choose troops as well. So she's already got a few, so we'll just leave it at that. So here we go. So this is the main screen that you'll be dealing with. Obviously they have different maps. So this is just a two-player map, and as you can probably already see, it's got a really cool design to it. I really like how there's a little bit of moving animation all the time with the clouds going by and dragons and a couple of birds and stuff like that. It really is a good little flair to it, and the actual design of the thing is cool too. So just the basics, right? I've already played this before it was greenlit. I'll put the links to those videos below because I went heavily into the gameplay and how to play, but I'll just give a quick brief overview for it in its current state. So that's my castle there. So I guess the goal of the game is to either defeat your enemy or take all the land, and then you can win by points. So this is my castle, this is my hero. So you can move them one zone at a time. So I'll pop her over there. So when you've done what you want to do, you just hit end turn and off they go. So the GUI has a couple of things we need to take note of. Top left here, you have your currency and your population cap, and there's your victory points below. So as I say, if I don't kill this person down here, I can win by victory points. So you can even press this little button here to actually get the victory points currently. And this is a new area that's been tweaked since I played it, and you can actually do stuff where you could, when there's multiple different people playing, you can ally with them. I'm not sure if that works in multiplayer. I haven't had a chance to try that one, unfortunately. And you can also click on some of these to show you the victory points. So if you collect, if you take these zones, this is the amount of victory points you get. So that one there, when you take a zone with a castle, you get big victory points. So they're an item you want to go for. And also that'll be the gold income you get when you hold it. So the more gold, the more units you buy. Okay, so when you go to a zone that you don't own, you can liberate it. Once you've liberated it, you can build on it. So you can build things like, well, I'll show you actually. It'll be easier to show you than rather. Oh, okay, I'll show you the cards in a second too. So here we go, the build screen. So this is the base build screen. So you can build hamlet, which is for population, tower, which is for defense, dolmen, which is for victory points, and a portal, so you can zoom around. These are all upgradable, so the more you upgrade the hamlet, obviously the more population, the more you upgrade the tower, the stronger they are, and they can also produce troops. And same for these things. So let's build a hamlet. So let's actually, no, we can't buy anyone else. Okay, and I'll just pop over here and I'll just give you a quick, I wonder if I can upgrade the castle, and then I can show you some units. But before we look at that, let me just show you the cards. So you see I keep getting cards. I keep getting rogue cards. I'll have a separate bit where I show you the different classes, and mention about the synergy between the classes and the cards. But these are the cards that we get, and you can have multiple different things. So you can have cards which you use on your heroes. You can have cards which you use on the enemy's heroes. You can use cards in zones, so you can do things where you can boost your income. You can quickly build settlers. I want to choose that one there. So I can even increase that, so if I hit that, that's going to automatically upgrade that for me next time. So lots of different variations with the cards. So in that turn, actually no, can I upgrade that? Oh, I can. Let me just portal market. Okay, I'll upgrade that one. So I mean that is in essence is the gameplay, right? I'll skip forward after we've looked at some units and show you the actual fight screen. Okay, so I upgraded it twice to get to this point where I've got some more units. So each faction has 6 unit types, and they all have different things, different abilities. So your man-at-arms is your kind of basic grunt. Your archer is fires missiles as arrows. Your front line guard, they soak up all the melee damage before it hits anyone else. And a griffin, they not too bad for defense, but they do a lot of damage. So as you can see, archers don't actually do that much damage, but a griffin does 4 times the amount. But obviously the cost associated to it is more, and the population that it takes up is going to be more. So I'll show you the classes, and then I'll show you the fight screen. I wanted to have a look at the classes, as this is a very important component to the game, and it ties in very heavily with the card system. So what we have is multiple different classes. So we have, well, classes, heroes, whatever you want to call them. So you have rogue class, you have a merchant. Merchant seems to be, this is the new one, so it's about improved cost to building. A warrior, which is just more of a standard one, and the wizard. So they're the main 4. I'm sure well, hopefully they'll introduce more as time goes on, but they tie in with the cards because specific cards can only be used by certain heroes, the hero types. So if you have 5 cards for a warrior and you don't have a warrior, they're completely pointless. But you could sell the cards, but you know, so you always want to have a mix. Yeah, so I just wanted to point that out because it's a really cool feature. Okay, so I'm about to have a fight here. So every now and again you get rebels or militia, I think they're called. So just they have no alliance to anybody. They're in the way, so you can normally avoid them, but I can't. I was going to get to this guy here, but I'll just show you the fight between me and this guy here. So if we can see what he's got. So got not a bad amount of units, and if you click on that, you get a little preview screen here. So what do you think the casualties will be? So let me show you the fight screen. So initially, when you go in, you fire missiles first. So the missiles go off, so that does damage, obviously yours to theirs, so the numbers get subtracted. Then it moves on to melee. Same thing happens, but there's things where you can stack certain units to combat stuff. So if you have more of the tanky guard units, they'll soak up that melee damage more and let your heavier damage stay alive. And obviously with the cards, there's a lot to it. So let me just show you, finish them off, because the battle is still ongoing there. The little dancing swords. So yeah, so missiles, and you can see as well it shows up red when it indicates that one's gone. So he's gone there, and he's gone there. So we've won this one, but their damage will still come onto you as well. So it is even though it was one after another. It just shows you. Before we get into the positives, negatives, I want to show you the menu system. So you got a customization of your little shield there, which is quite cool. And what do we have in here? So change resolution, not a lot of options in there. It's always good to see more in there. So your tutorial and your campaign, that's what you get without any purchase, but when you actually unlock it, you get a skirmish and a multiplayer mode. So skirmish is against bots, and the campaign is obviously against bots as well, but there's a story there that's driving it. So yeah, let's jump into positives and negatives. Okay, so we must remember this game is early access at the moment, but let us start graphically. Graphically, I like the design of it. Admittedly, it is simplistic. The combat screen has some really nice animations, but the main screen you're looking at, the map, graphically simple, but the drawing and the design is really picturesque, and it's quite vibrant as well, so it's a nice thing to look at all the time, so it's not dreary, so that's good. So graphically, I say simple, but it's really nice, so that's a good one. Audio across the board is pretty high quality. One comment I will say is, I guess this relates more to gameplay, is that I wish there was voice acting. It would really help propel a story, and it really introduces you to characters and gives you, that connection with a character if you can hear them talk. Not always, because obviously reading a book you don't hear them talk, but you can still associate to characters that way. But I find for gaming, the best way to do it is having someone read the story to you rather than reading it yourself. Okay, and let us talk about gameplay. Okay, so with gameplay, I think across the board I really like the gameplay. Across the board as well, it's simplistic, so it's easy to get into. But when I'm saying that though, it doesn't mean there isn't a lot going on. You've got the resource management, always kind of keeping track of that, and buildings to get more troops. You have obviously the taking land, fighting over land, building on the land, controlling your heroes. You obviously got the ally system and tribute system now as well. So there's a lot going on, but it's all very easy to pick up, and that's probably one of the best things as well. I've played these games, similar games to this before, and once I got past the tutorial, I don't want to continue because I've just spent so long in the tutorial trying to figure out what's going on, and you don't get that with this game. With the tutorial, you jump in, 5-10 minutes, you're probably done, and then you're ready to go. And you possibly don't even need to do that as well, because in the actual in-game, if you hold down, I think left mouse, it shows a little tooltip as well. So a lot of the information is in the main game itself. So it's really good. So as I say, I find it very enjoyable. It's really good to get into. There's a lot of potential to add more stuff to it. So you got the cards as well, and the unit types, and they're trying to counter fighting. Trying to get the right troops to fight against another set of troops. So there's a lot to it, and it's fun. Okay, so with that, let's give the devs some suggestions. This is early access, so there's a lot can change. So let's give them some suggestions, things that I would like to see implemented. For me, top thing I would like to see implemented would be cutscenes and voice acting. As I mentioned when I was talking about audio, the voice acting for me really propels a story in a game like this. Having one of your main heroes doing the voice acting, so you actually care about that hero, that unit, so you actually try not to let them get destroyed and beaten. That would be a great thing for this game. And also getting the voice acting and cutscenes to add things to the story, so instead of just saying, oh, this area is being attacked by the bad guys, you can add more to it, saying, oh, these areas are under siege, and then you can see a big siege war going on, and saying that the amount of money that would need to go into that is obviously significant. So that's a bit tricky, but I think voice acting could be something they could look at, and I think that would be worth it. A bit more story bit more in-depth story would be nice. I mean, I've done 2 of the campaigns, and I think you could add a lot more to that, so that'd be good. With gameplay, I think you could add more cards, more different types of cards. You know, don't just have cards for your units, have cards for, you know, where you could use a card and slow everyone's progress across the whole world. Do things on a mass scale like that. That would be nice. Maybe more units. Whilst that is tricky though, because as I said, the ease of this game to get into, if you start adding more units, it might start overcomplicating it. So I'm kind of torn with that one. I almost want to say, let the campaign be simple, but let you have the choice of, when you go into multiplayer, maybe say you can have 8 types of units and have more that you can unlock. That would be nice. And the last one would be the user interface for the multiplayer lobby. It is not good, unfortunately. I mentioned it previously as well. I think they need to either expand it so you get the whole window in there, or maybe just revamp that whole window, that whole area. Doesn't seem easy to use, and it probably puts people off as well from actually getting into multiplayer. But I mean, it's easy to get into a match, but it's just not easy to, I guess, communicate and stuff like that. So that could be done a bit better. So how it's priced is a bit interesting as well. So the price is $15.99. That's 25% off. Normally it's going to be $19.99. For me, that's okay. I like to see it stay $15.99. I think that's a better price for it. It is marketed as free to play, and it is free to get into it on the campaign. But you're paying to unlock the skirmish and the multiplayer mode. To me, I think that's acceptable on one side of things, because you know that's $15, well $15.99 currently to unlock the entire game. But you get a chance to try it out prior. Maybe they should rephrase how it's labelled, admittedly, but I think it's an acceptable way to do it, and it's a good way to really test to see if you can get into it, because maybe the people that are hardcore into this genre of, you know, the war game fantasy strategies might think it's too simple for them, so they might get put off. So it's good. It's a good test ground for everybody. The only concern I would have is just the life and longevity of the multiplayer community. They do seem to be very proactive on all fronts. These guys, Boom Zap Entertainment, always updating it, always optimizing it, and I'm really happy to see they're putting a lot of effort into the campaign now. So I mean, in reality, I guess worst case scenario, if you like it, got into it, played it for a little bit, and you really enjoyed it, then say you took a break, played Fallout 4 for a month, come back, multiplayer community's dead. Hopefully you'll have more campaign at that point, and you have the skirmish mode, which is in essence obviously multiplayer but against bots. So not the best scenario at all, but there's still content there if the multiplayer community does fall over. So it's not just a standalone multiplayer game, which is what I'm trying to say. Always a risk with any indie titles for multiplayer, right? You're not going to have the massive population you do for AAA titles, but hopefully this has enough community to keep it going. So I'll leave it there. As I said, I think this game, I really enjoy this game. For the price of $15.99, I think it's acceptable if you're into this style. Graphically, really good. I really like the design. Gameplay, it's fun. It's really cool. So I'll finish there and say, give me some comments below, give me a like if you liked it, and subscribe. And we'll see you next time.